Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for you. Also, claim to be an agent for God, which means basically that I have chosen to accept the responsibility that I have been given to take what God has shown me to share it with you for the benefit that you might learn a secret that will give you a clue how to get out of this bondage that we all as human beings are living in. And the message that I bring today is for the poor, it is for the homeless, and it is for the ignored. I want you to know, my friends, my sisters, and my brothers, that even before you came here on this earth, it had been prepared that having you here, that you might be able to live and experience heaven on earth. The resources necessary for all of that to happen came with the earth, and they were given free. You see, what was to happen, ladies and gentlemen, is that we were to live. And as we live, we were to learn as we go. And as we learn, we would progress. And through our progression, our purpose would be to continue living, to survive in a environment that was reflective of all our needs and all of our wants and all of our desires being met or not. But now, what happened was that the people, not really knowing the truth, not really knowing what to do, they had to learn as they go. But what they ended up doing was claiming the resources that had been given by the power that's invisible for all of us, claiming those resources as their own. And they knew that the people needed these resources to do the things that people do with them, are doing with them, and continue to do with them. So what they did was they constructed a system that made them the thieves who had taken all the resources, taken all the oil, taken all the gas, taken all the diamonds, taken all the stuff that came with the earth and claim it as their own. Now they're continuously abusing and exploiting these resources and determining. I mean, they coming up with how people are supposed to act, whether they're supposed to be uh, under dictators or whether they're supposed to be under queens and kings, whatever the system, they just doing whatever they're doing. And the result of that, my friend, is the poor, the homeless, the ignored. That is the result of that. But yet, nothing has really changed. What was required in the beginning of time that would produce that heaven on earth or that hell on earth is still required today. But for those of you who might remember how difficult it might be, there was a time when you might call the sons of God or men of God came to the earth. And if they came to the earth, they came to the earth at a time when the same kinds of things were going on then as they are now. And what would their purpose be, being called sons of God? It is to be representative of God so that people would get some insight about what it means to live and walk towards that thing called heaven on earth. Well, I'm telling you, my friends, they got caught up in the women, and that ended that because there's not flower as beautiful and as wonderful as a woman. Short, tall, big, fat, black, white, they're making a difference. And so, what God called you to do, you're going to have a problem unless you're connected with that which worked with you. But usually, that which is divine, that is led to represent God, is always alone. Because the price of freedom, most people don't want to pay. And especially when they spend a whole lifetime learning something else and not knowing what that price is. You see, because now here again, the poor, the homeless, and the ignored have been chosen to represent God. You know exactly the pain that everyone goes through from a lack. You knows what it means to be denied that which God has designed for you: homes, education, health care, And all of this, my friends, to be done and accomplished by you being engaged, involved in the process of creation, by choosing a career that gives you your greatest joy. And in doing so, it makes you entitled to anything that's on the face of the earth that's made by the hands of man. That is the original plan. Doesn't cost you anything but that. So you're living, loving, and joyously creating your heaven on earth. But this is the message that I come to give to you. And you the poor, give it to everybody, but you the poor, you receive this message because now you've been given the responsibility to stand up. To stand up. And standing up means exposing all of the pain and suffering that has come your way and revealing what God has said to you, what the choices are, and what is required. It required that the people change. And you are the first ones because you're standing up doing what you're supposed to do right now. But I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be honest with you. God will allow you to be healed. Now, I said that slow because I know what life means to you. You have no idea about real life. All you know is what we have been taught. And nobody wants to die because you don't know what's happening. I don't know what's up there above the sky. Nobody wants to die. And so you just want to stay out of that grave. And whatever it takes, I mean, you might have great constitution, but whatever the challenge might be, whatever it takes to keep you out of that grave, you will be in. And that is the way of the world. And that being the way of the world is why we have the poor. That is why we have the homeless. That is why we have the ignored. Now, if people knew that there's no such thing as death in the sense that your life is over, if they knew that, they had a little story one time about Jesus being resurrected. Now, let's say people believe that. Well, we know they don't. But if they believe that, you couldn't keep people in bondage. People wouldn't allow you to keep them in bondage. So you got to have faith. That's what they say, right? You got to have faith. Now, somebody will tell you in a heartbeat, you having faith, you being killed. You heard about the Jews. You heard about how they killing the Jews. You heard about how they killing the Jews today. Killing the Jews. You heard about how the Jews are killing other people. You heard about how they did blacks and turned them into slaves. You heard here they're talking about doing that same thing again. So are you telling me that you have to stand up